Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. You're watching Reliable Roots. Today's video is a recap of what we did this past year with our homeschool, and it's also a looking forward video about what we plan on doing this year with our homeschool. And even as I say that, just know that everything is subject to change, as is the whole world that we live in right now. Everything's kind of up in the air and there's a lot of craziness going on, and so is our homeschool. So I will kind of go through what has already changed about this coming up here. But first, this past year was actually the very first year that I completed our curriculum for all 36 weeks. So we use an Oak Meadow curriculum, and the way that they have it organized in there is that they do it by week. So each week you get assignments and different things to do for each language arts and math and science and history and music and movement. And this was the very first year that we completed all 36 weeks. And I was super proud of that at the time when we did it. And looking back on it now, I'm kind of not as proud as I was, because I kind of realized I'm like, you know, I really strive to get those 36 weeks in 180 days simply because that is what the mainstream public schools do. And if you ask any homeschooler or any homeschooling family, or if you even just look online, one of the biggest things about homeschooling that all homeschooling veterans will tell you is that try not to make your homeschool like the public school, because it is not like the public school. And it's very hard to get away from that, even though I've been doing this for 4 years, 5 years, and it's still difficult for my mindset to change, because I grew up in the public school system. So it's been a long journey with that, and hopefully this year will be a little bit different, because I don't want to stick to 180 days. I don't really want to stick to 36 weeks, even though I was really proud of that this past year, just completing the entire curriculum. We're going to do things a little bit different this year, as we do every year. So this past year we had no field trips that I can recall. I was trying to think through this, and we did go to Florida at one point, and other than that, you know, all the lockdowns and everything that shut down, we did some virtual kind of field trips, kind of looked around online. But I think the reason why we were able to complete all 36 weeks was because of everything was closed and we weren't really being that social and that sort of thing. So again, that's not my high priority for this year, and I almost feel bad that I'm even saying that that was my high priority. It wasn't my high priority, but it was a priority for last year. So even as I'm saying that, I'm like, well, you know, it's I'm trying to get away from the check the box kind of homeschool, and that's very difficult for me. Just my personality type is that if I have a list, I want to check off everything on that list. So we're trying to get away from that this year. I'll explain more of that in a moment. So we did unit studies, which were a huge hit. I think that that is the way that we're going to move forward. We did a moon unit study, we did an ocean unit study, little house books unit study, gardening unit study, and I think we did a few more, but right off the top of my head, I can't remember. So the way that in Virginia, you have a couple different options for evaluating homeschool, and we do an evaluation method where my children will actually sit down with somebody else and they'll go over everything that we did this past year. So we already did that weeks ago, and I should have made this video weeks ago, because I was at that point that I drug out everything that we've done this past year and actually got to sit down and look at it. I'm like, oh, we actually did like a whole lot. So from fall all the way to spring, oftentimes myself, I can't even remember what we were doing in the fall. It just seems like so long ago. So when you actually start dragging all that out, a lot of times I feel like we didn't do enough. We didn't have enough things that we did. And then when I drag it all out, I'm like, oh, we actually did a whole lot. So pretty happy about that. They did supplement some of their well, I say some, they took a ballet class online throughout school. And we did use the Oak Meadow curriculum. So that was all this past year. I think it was a very good year. I had a great time with it. I can't think of anything significant that happened in our homeschool. So this coming up here, I'm really excited about this. I'm getting more excited about it. Like I said, we were supposed to start homeschooling this past week, and I decided to make the executive decision to put that off. I don't think I said that, but now I'm saying that. I am going to put that off. I don't know how long I'm going to put that off. And when I say we were supposed to start this past week, I mean, I already planned out the entire semester from August all the way to December. And so I have the dates on my planner. I have everything that we're going to do. And then come this like last week, I'm just like, you know, I'm just not ready. I'm just not motivated enough to start. And the reason why we start so early is because I like to go 6 weeks on and then take a week off. 6 weeks on, take a week off, do more of a year-round schooling. So we just got done with our homeschooling about mid-June. And that's I was planning on taking 6 weeks in the summertime and starting at the beginning of August. And I realize now, I'm like, that's just not going to work this year. I'm just not ready. I'm just not motivated. And I want to be motivated when we start our homeschooling, because that's very important to me, because enthusiasm is contagious. So if I'm not enthusiastic about our homeschool curriculum and the things that we're doing, my children aren't going to be either. So that's more important to me than the 36 weeks, 180 days. So again, I'm trying to kind of get away from that. And also talking to other homeschooling mothers, I realized that same sort of thing is that I was like, so did you guys complete all 36 weeks? And they're like, well, I don't know. We completed the curriculum and then we were done. It's like, oh, well, there's a good point. You could just complete the curriculum and then you could just be done. Now, Oak Meadow is different because they do 36 weeks of curriculum, whereas other curriculums will just have lessons and they have so many lessons and then you're done. That being said, I ordered the 4th grade Oak Meadow curriculum for this coming up year for my firstborn. So I already have kindergarten all the way through 3rd grade. I ordered this back in like April or May, expecting to use Oak Meadow. We've been using Oak Meadow for years, really enjoyed the curriculum. I've done many review videos on the curriculum, bought the curriculum, and now I've changed my mind. So we are actually not going to be using Oak Meadow this year, even though I have all the curriculum. And the reason for that is mostly, well, there's quite a few reasons, but my children are losing their enthusiasm for education. When I say losing, I mean they are not enthusiastic about starting up homeschool, and that always makes me very sad because the whole point of us homeschooling is, especially in the elementary schools, is to cultivate a love of learning. And so when I told them that we weren't going to start homeschooling this week, their reaction was joy. They were, oh, yay, 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 super excited. And what that tells me is that I'm not doing it right one way or another. And I don't mean to sound like, you know, I'm completely wrong, but my priorities, our priorities have somehow kind of gotten askew. And so I say that very humbly because I'm making a video about this thing, saying this to everybody, but it's true is that I think every year is a reevaluation. At least it has been in my household, because every year the children change. And this year, again, I'm very thankful that my youngest is still in the pre-K era. She just barely missed the cutoff for kindergarten. So I have like another year before her official sort of education begins. And I'm very, very thankful for that, because this year we are just going to do things a little bit more relaxed, a little bit easier, I hope. That's the goal, at least for this year, to get back to that love of learning. So that being said, we are no longer using, at least for this year, we are not using the Oak Meadow curriculum, even though I just bought it. So instead, we are transitioning into the Good and the Beautiful. Now, I've heard so many good things about this curriculum. So I finally decided to go check it out. And lo and behold, I was like, it's free? What? So that is the reason why we're being able to transition to this, because the Oak Meadow curriculum, I just spent like $300 or $400 on it. I forgot how much it was. And so that really hurts. It's like, oh, I just spent all this money and I'm not even going to use this curriculum. But then to go on to the Good and the Beautiful and realize that their language arts and their math curriculum is all completely free, it was like, yay! So I did spend a lot of money printing, not a lot of money, but I did spend some money printing out the curriculum because it was extensive, but it is free to download. So we're using the Good and the Beautiful for our language arts. And then I've also heard a lot of good things about Singapore math. And this is the other reason why we're not using Oak Meadow, is because I started to piece together our homeschool, and I realized that unit studies are the way for us to go, I think, from here on out, because it's a lot easier to combine ages when you're doing a unit study, because the younger children can do like smaller things that are age appropriate for them while they're still in the presence of older kids. Older kids can do things. For example, we take the moon unit study. You know, the younger children can have fun playing with the games, drawing pictures of moons, and learning very simple vocabulary and that sort of thing with the moon, while the older kids can learn more complex scientific things. So as we go forward, I realize that that's going to be so beneficial, especially next year when I'm homeschooling all three and they're spread out ages. So that is the reason why we're doing unit study. So as I'm putting together our whole curriculum for this year, and I'm looking at Oak Meadow, and I'm just like, well, it's very difficult to do a unit study, especially as you're getting into 2nd and 4th grade, because the themes and stuff don't really line up. And the 4th grade in Oak Meadow curriculum is a lot different from kindergarten through 3rd. So the whole reason why we're switching up is mostly because I started putting this together, and I realized that I was literally only doing like the language arts out of the Oak Meadow curriculum. And even then I wasn't completely thrilled about. So we switched over. We are switching over this year to the Good and the Beautiful. I will keep you guys updated to let you know how that goes. It is not a Waldorf-based approach, and that's kind of why I've resisted going over to other curriculums. I love the Waldorf-based approach. You can see in my background I have this is a cool thing my husband made for us for our homeschool to learn multiplication, and there's just so much fun hands-on things when it comes to the Waldorf kind of philosophy, and I really, really enjoy it. However, things like this was never actually a good, it was never grasped, my child never really grasped hold of it. She never really didn't comprehend it, understand it, enjoy it. And to be honest, it took me a while to kind of figure it out. This is a multiplication ring that's very popular in Waldorf education. You take like some yarn and you go around and you make different kind of geometrical shapes with that. So that being said, that was the main reason why I stuck to Oak Meadow. So loosening my strains from having to do more of a Waldorf approach is very empowering and it's very freeing. And again, I don't know if that's going to be the case forever. I still love the hands-on activities with Waldorf. I still love using more natural fibers and crayons and paints and that sort of thing. I still love doing more artistic things that incorporate math and science into artwork. So all those things we're going to keep trying to do, just not with the Waldorf curriculum. So doing the Good and the Beautiful for our language arts. I picked up Singapore math workbooks. So I've heard a lot of good things about Singapore math. Math has been a sore subject with one of my children this whole time. She just really does not like math at all. So Singapore math, from what I've gathered from the workbooks, and I'll do more review videos about it as we go along, it's very basic for a lot of children that are in the public school system here in the United States, which is good because I think from just looking at it, it really goes back over those basics to really try to solidify a math foundation. So really try to emphasize just basic numbers and what a number can mean and what a number does. And then from there, addition and subtraction, multiplication, division, that sort of thing. And it builds on from there. So I got the workbooks for both 2nd and 4th grade, but it's weird because those are like different levels. And then we are also going to be doing what are we going to be doing? We're also going to be working on music theory. I got one music theory book that we started to dive into music theory, but I really enjoy getting actual workbooks. It helps me to organize my thoughts with this. I have a background in music, so I was like, oh, I can easily teach my children that. But as I started to dive into it, it just kind of became a jumbled mess. So I like the organization of actually using a workbook to go over different concepts of music theory. The children have also, we are going to continue doing recorder work. We've been doing this for several years, and really proud of their progress with that. We're also going to continue doing piano and possibly ukulele. So my brother got us a ukulele for our homeschool this past year, and we're really excited to dive into ukulele work. We're going to try to do that. Again, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of music, learning 3 different instruments at once, plus music theory. Not sure if we're going to be able to get to all that, but it sounds like fun. So I really would like to. Not sure if it's going to happen. And then also one thing that has been lacking in our homeschool has been a solid Christian curriculum. We are Christians, and I wanted to incorporate theology and biblical teaching principles into our homeschool curriculum. And I did that through a website called Teach Sunday School this past year. So it's really for Sunday school lessons. So I print out new lessons each week that were designed to be taught in Sunday school on one day, and I would kind of teach them throughout the week. So instead of doing that, I actually picked up a Christian curriculum book, which I'm really excited to get into. And again, it's got the 36 weeks of curriculum. It's arranged so to be a homeschooling sort of curriculum. Now with those two, I did go a little bit cheaper, is that I bought just one music theory book and one of the Christian curriculums. I don't know if I'm going to be buying another one or if I'm just going to be making photocopies of that for my other child. I'm not sure about that yet. So hopefully this year, the plan is to do a little bit more field trips, a little bit more hands-on activities. Of course, we could not do that last year because of COVID. Hoping to make it to Jamestown this year, hoping to make it to Williamsburg again. Williamsburg does an amazing homeschool day where it's like 50% off and you can actually get to see Colonial Williamsburg. Also hoping to make it to DC to go to the Smithsonian. We've only been there once and we live relatively close to DC, and it pains me to say that we've only been there once and it was very, very short. It was a work thing, so we didn't really get to explore very much, but I'm hoping to make it there sometime in the spring when we do a dinosaur unit study. So these are the unit studies that I have planned for the fall time. I've already got that all mapped out, and then I did. It was supposed to start this past week, so I have to kind of go back through and tweak a few things. But here's the idea. So we're going to do a measurement unit study, and I've got a whole bunch of books for that. I wanted to do something that was more math and language arts related at the beginning of the year when we're enthusiastic and refreshed and vibrant and ready to hit the ground running. And again, that's why I'm putting off starting our homeschool, because I'm not refreshed and vibrant and ready to hit the ground running. But whenever I get to that point, whether it's not going to be next week, I can tell you that much, but maybe in a couple weeks, maybe it won't be till September, I'm okay with that. We're going to do measurements. I got a bunch of information about measurements. We're going to do some fun hands-on activities with that. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I was planning on doing a 2-week homeschool, 2-week unit study on that. I might ditch that one simply because, again, I'm getting started later. Then we have weather. I'm just going to do a weather unit study. And then the whole month of October is going to be Harry Potter, which I'm really excited about. The girls started reading Harry Potter this past year. Now, Harry Potter is an interesting children's book because it can be taken several ways. Is that the first book is just magical and wonderful, but it can get pretty dark and deep pretty quickly. So my older child is reading tons, and she is allowed to continue reading. We watched the first movie and then we watched the second movie, and I kind of regret doing that because they are pretty scary for younger kids. But the children do love them, and the idea of all the magic and imagination is what I love about Harry Potter. So much of the storytelling in that is just chock full of so many interesting, incredibly imaginative concepts. So we are going to do that in the month of October, and I believe that we are all going to be dressing up like Harry Potter for Halloween. I think. Well, again, I reserve the right to change my mind. And then after that, we will do an anatomy lesson. And when we're getting around to Thanksgiving, we'll do a very, very short, little brief Native American lesson. And then getting around December, my favorite, Christmas around the world. So really excited to do that. My oldest has started cooking like crazy. So she has just literally taken over my kitchen. She does everything pretty much by herself, completely independent, which is wonderful. I don't mind that a bit. And so it's going to be really fun come Christmas time that she's going to, I'm sure, go nuts with baking. Let's see. So for spring, haven't planned out spring yet, and I'm not going to until December because a lot can change in that course of time. But the plan is the unit studies that we want to do in the springtime will be local geography and history, a creation unit study, dinosaurs, ancient Egypt, early American history, geology, sharks, and herbology. I wanted to do herbology this past year. I did a gardening unit study, didn't have time to incorporate herbology into it, but I would really like to do that personally for me because I love herbs. I've got a ton of books back there that I haven't read, but they're all about herbs. So I would really love to do that. Okay, so the goals, the last thing that I'll say about this, and I'll wrap this video up, sorry, it's kind of long. The goals for this year is that I'm hoping to have a little bit more relaxed school year. I'm hoping to get back to that love and passion of learning. Not sure where I went wrong with that or where that's kind of gone astray, or maybe that's just a childhood phase or something like that, but that is kind of the goal for this year, is to try to get back to the love of learning. So it's going to be a little bit more relaxed. I also just got my yoga certification for 500 hours worth of yoga. I've been working on that this year. So I'm hoping to incorporate some yoga into our homeschool routine and curriculum. I think that especially after the past year, all the stressors that have happened in the world, yoga is necessary. Meditation, taking care of yourself. We'll also incorporate that in our anatomy lesson, but I'm going to try to put in some more yoga. My kids don't like yoga. They don't like the way that I do yoga currently, because all they do is they see me doing adult yoga. They've never taken one of my yoga classes, but I'm hoping to convince them, especially when we're able to do like back bends and splits and stuff like that, because they are really interested in that aspect of it, but they're not so much interested in the even though that's very important. Swimming, that is another goal that we have this year. That was actually our summer goal, but you can't force a rose to bloom. So we worked on swimming this summer, and I was thinking that maybe by the end of summer that the kids would be able to swim, but again, they're going at their own rate. So that is our goal this year, is to still go at our own rate, but hopefully to get at least one of them swimming, if not two or three. I would really love for that to happen. So we're going to try to do more time at the pool, at the gym, once a week, twice a week, maybe even 3 times a week. I don't know. Go there very often and try to get them to swim. Let's see. And then the last thing is doing more outings and more social functions. Again, that's kind of dependent on what's going on in the world and that sort of thing, but we do hope to do a whole lot more of that this year. In fact, I'm looking at the calendar, and it can be kind of overwhelming, and I'm trying to not be overwhelmed because at the same time, I'm a working mom as well. So currently I work at home, I teach classes, and again, that's kind of up in the air because last year everybody was locked down, and so I had a whole bunch of classes, and it was very easy to get bookings at Outschool. And this year is completely different because China just implemented a new policy. So everybody at VIP Kid and Magic Ears and everybody that teaches Chinese children English, there's a lot of us are on pins and needles kind of waiting to see if we're going to have a job here soon. I think that we will. I'm not too worried about VIP Kid, but then at Outschool we're also kind of on pins and needles to see, okay, how many students are we going to have that enrolls in normal classes? What's our schedule going to be like once everybody goes back to school? So it's just been this huge transition time in the online teaching community and world. So we will see what happens with all of that. So thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to tune in. I got a few more videos coming up about the things that I bought for this school year. I'll do like an overhaul and a view of that. And also for the measurement unit, I already got everything we need for that. Because again, I was supposed to start this past week. So I've got everything we need. So I'll show you everything that I bought for that. And I hope you all are having a wonderful summer. If you've already started your homeschool year, drop me a comment below. Let me know how it's going. What are you planning on doing this year? Are you sticking to 36 weeks? What kind of curriculum are you using? Have you used Oak Meadow? Have you used The Good and Beautiful? What do you think about those things? And I will see you guys next time. Bye!